All right, so this last thing we had to do in 6.1 is a very, very important skill, for especially for those of you who are eventually going to move on to calculus. So it might be boring otherwise, but for you calculus students, you future ones, this main idea is pretty big. And what we're going to eventually do is we're going to reverse the composition. So in this case, what we're trying to do is we're given the function, but I've got to find which two functions are being composed. What function is actually being put inside of another function. So we're kind of reversing that process. So what we've been doing is I gave you f of x, right? So let's just say it was 2x plus 5. I gave you g of x, right? And so let's just say that's the squaring function. And so now what we have to do is, we built a composition, right? And in this case, that would be f of g of x, which is f of x squared, which comes out to 2x squared plus 5. So this is what we've been doing. What we're now going to do is I'm going to give you this, and you got to figure out which two functions that we have that created that one, right? And really what we're looking for is an inside function. Do we see some function inside of another? And then we can basically start stripping away. Now sometimes it's pretty obvious because of the use of parentheses, right? With a set of parentheses here, it looks like this piece right here is going inside. What's it going inside of? It's going inside of the squaring function. So what that tells me is that the function that's being put inside is 3x minus 2, and the function it's going inside of is x squared. And so there would be the two functions that are being composed in this situation here. All right. Now, of course, there's more than one right answer. I think that's probably, I hate to use the word obvious, but that's probably the most obvious one because of the parentheses being used, right? This line is being put inside the squaring function. So this is being put inside there. However, right, if I considered this being x minus 2 squared and g of x being 3x, that would also be another answer, right? Because if I put this inside of there, I get that. All right, so this is what makes this reversal kind of tough. There's actually more than one right answer, but this one is kind of the gold standard version, especially, again, for those of you moving on to calculus. All right, so there's more than one answer. Keep trying, kind of think visually what function is being placed inside of another, and then once you have that, you can kind of give us, kind of like I did with my red pen, you can kind of see what the other function has to be, what that outside function is. So doing it again, we're dealing with a radical, and underneath the radical is 4x minus squared. So since we're underneath the radical, that kind of tells me that right, is being placed right inside the radical. So it seems to me like the inside function here would be 4 minus x squared, and the function it's being put into would be the square root of x. And I think it's a pretty obvious choice. If I put that inside of that, I definitely have my h of x. Is that unique? No. But I do believe that is the gold star answer. And then last but not least, we have an x minus 4 down on the bottom. So if we kind of look, it looks like we have 5 over something. So if I let g of x equal x minus 4, and I let f of x be 5 over x, we can clearly see that if I put that inside of there, I've got that function. So there's my inside, there's my outside. These are the two functions that are being composed. Again, that's not unique. If you sat around and thought about it, you could probably think of another one, but that's probably the quickest one that we can get, and it's actually the one you want when you guys move into a calculus setting. All right, so again, sometimes we're looking, there's a pretty obvious something inside of another function. Sometimes we got to look around and it's really not inside, but it's under. But if we can kind of consider our reciprocal function, we kind of can see it. Alrighty, so it's a skill that needs to be learned. You can watch me do it, but you got to kind of get down and dirty into the dirt and kind of figure it out and trial and error. And what's really cool is you can check yourself really quick. Like up here, I can see if I put this right inside the squaring function, I get that. If I put that underneath the radical, I get that. If I put this into the denominator, I get that. So that's the really cool thing, is you can check it by actually performing the composition. That wraps up Chapter 6, this whole idea of composition. We're going to be moving into some really cool territory here shortly, but we'll do that in the new chapter when we move to 6.2. If you have questions, post them on Canvas. See me for office hours, right? Get a time where we can meet, and hopefully I can help you with any issues that you may or may not have. All right, see you guys in the next chapter. Good luck with the quiz. Talk to you later.